on 29th of May 2023, the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, would be sworn in as the president. And as him taking over from Buhari, of course, he has a lot of responsibility considering the state of the economy now after the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. So right now joining us, we have a PDP chieftain, and that's Omar Sani, and Comrade Musa Ali Otiba, the National Coordinator, APC National Coalition for Mass Mobilization, NATCOM 2023, and Director of Campaign and Mobilization, Amalgamated APC Support Groups. They'll be joining us, of course, today. Good morning.
Good morning. How
Thank
are you?
you for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. So let me start with you. Omar Sani. Okay, no, I beg your pardon. I'll start with you, Omar Sani. The president left a lot of gap. We're seeing it. I mean, people are pointing out more of his, you know, I wouldn't say failure, but more of the things he didn't do than the things he did. And the president-elect, of course, is coming, and we can't keep forgetting to mention, you know, the 77 trillion naira debt and a lot of things. The insecurity rate, it has increased massively. So what is your take? Like, how do you think Bola Ahmed Tinubu would be able to handle all this, you know, chaos that's happening?
Well, let me start by saying that you should not forget I'm from the opposition. And I'm not supposed to analyze what he will do or what he will not do. Because as an opposition, we are at the Elections Petitions Tribunal trying to recover our mandate. So as people who are very much aware that this election was won and lost, you know, through some means which are not credible, we have gone to court to recover our mandate. So in recovering our mandate, we will not be analyzing somebody's presidency, believing that that presidency will be a permanent future. You know, while we are also working towards getting back the presidency, so we believe we should be analyzed when we come into power, and not for us to begin to analyze what the challenges that Tinubu has faced. But let me state here that there is a need for me to make some observations from what Mr. Jide has said when he left. He said when the administration of Goodluck Jonathan came in, Buhari met an empty treasury, you know, and some of the projects that were abandoned and some of the things he you know, really made mention are not, of course, correct. So it is good for me to put it in proper perspective so that Nigerians will understand what actually happened. First, we had Goodluck Jonathan bequeathed $1 billion sovereign wealth fund account, which he left. There was $5.8 billion signature bonus LNG account. There was the excess crude $2.1 billion in the account, and of course the consolidated revenue account had over 700 billion naira in it. Again, there was also 700 billion in the gas infrastructure account held by NNPC. So we did not leave an empty treasury during that period of time. So for anybody to say that PDP left an empty treasury, I challenge anybody who can dispute these facts I have given, because it is from that excess crude account that Buhari was able to make purchases of fighter jets from America, which we bequeathed. So there we left quite a lot of investments and monies on ground. So for even if the economy at that time did not permit that the sales of crude was supposed to be high, there were some augmentations. These are some of the augmentations that a government, when it comes into power, will now use to augment and to ensure that things go well. Don't also forget that he didn't mention that there were 2 recessions in the government of Muhammad Buhari.
They actually did mention that.
Okay. Now, those recessions were an impediment to the economic growth. And don't forget, You know, we had 133 million Nigerians who were engrossed in poverty. This is by the Bureau of Statistics. This is not PDP that is concocting these figures. The Bureau of Statistics. So if somebody is handing over those type of things, I think it is not the APC that will be able to manage itself when the APC created all these problems. I think the PDP should manage those things.
Okay, so when you talk about, you know, when you were talking about this, you know, it just occurred to me that, you know, most of for example, insecurity and even debt, you know, was also inherited from the PDP. But besides that, it's safe to actually say that Tinubu would actually be inheriting, you know, the highest debt profile, you know, when he assumes office. What do you think that will mean to, you know, the country? And aside that, there's actually a story here on Fashola saying that until midnight, that's on May 29th, when they will be, before the handover, they would continue borrowing. What do you think this would actually mean to the country? Are we digging deeper or supposed to dig out of our debt?
Actually, in terms of borrowing, it is not against any known norms and traditions for countries to borrow. When I was on my way here, I heard that America was also going to borrow some money to be able to run their country. So borrowing is in itself is not the issue, but the utilization of the amounts borrowed for the purpose for which it was intended. Don't forget that the DMO, before the Goodluck Jonathan's administration, was defeated, came out and said the amount borrowed by Nigeria was $7 billion. Now it is 77. So about 70 billion has increased. Now what we are saying is the 70 billion that was borrowed, what was it used for? How was it used? Was it judicious? Has it impacted on the citizens of the country? Has it impacted on the economy? Has it impacted on the central bank policies, fiscal and monetary policies? Has the naira and the dollar been able to stabilize to such an extent that Nigerians are now enjoying everywhere? These are the questions that we should begin to ask ourselves. The physical aspect of it and not the borrowing itself. How has it impacted on the lives of the citizens? Are the citizens happy? Will you go on the street and ask a citizen and say, are you happy with this? And he will say yes. These are the things we're saying.
Okay, so due to a lot of things that Umar Sani said, Musa Ali Otiba, what do you think? Because we already know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is coming in to meet a huge, responsibility that he needs to tackle, and we can't even start. But the major thing is we know this insecurity, the rate is high, the economy is, challenges also is really bad. So what do you think Bola Ahmed Tinubu would start with, and how should, let's look at the policy prioritization. What is the best thing to pick on to start with?
Thank you very much. Before I answer that question, I would like to respond to what my boss here said about them going to reclaim their mandate. You are Nigerians, and you know how many times PDP have gone to court from 2007 till date. They have been going to court to reclaim the mandate, and they never did anyone. So this one, you are not even going to go close to reclaiming any mandate, because we didn't steal your mandate. The Nigerian people gave us the mandate. We won the election. Having said that, about Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu facing challenges, of course we know there are challenges, but we believe in his capacity. If you know of this Japanese parable or proverb that say, "Yo shinai, yo kongai," good thinking, good product. Tinubu is a thinker, okay? He's a thinker and a good thinker at that. He knows about these challenges. He has, when he took over the mantle of leadership in Lagos State, I think the challenge in Lagos then were much more than this. But this is a wider one, a larger one, Nigeria. So, but he was able to, turn Lagos economy around. He did not depend on borrowing. Rather, he went for, internally generated revenue mechanism. And he did that successfully. So we believe he will bring that experience to bear on the Nigeria economy, and Nigerians will have, a very good and quality life under Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu leadership.
Okay, now let's talk about corruption and governance. Now, you'd agree with me that, without good governance, there's no way the country would actually go forward. So what's the new president's, commitment towards accountability, combating corruption, improving government effectiveness, and also public service delivery?
Well, I cannot speak for him what his plans are. I don't know what his plans are. But like I said, we believe in his capacity. You will agree with me, outside what the opposition are saying, that Asiwaju is not a corrupt man.
So what about what he said he will do in his manifesto?
Excuse me, he's not a corrupt man. And so, is a talk and do personality. Whatever Asiwaju, okay, you listened to him yesterday during the concert. He said, I know what I promised Nigerians, and I still remember them. I'll keep to my words. I'll keep to my promises. I will deliver on my promises. So we believe in him. All we need is to rally around him. Let me tell you one thing. No matter how good a leader is, if the followers does not believe in him, if the followers want him to fail, he will definitely fail. But if you help him, take that good part of him, bring the good part of him, and encourage him, assist him to achieve what you think he should achieve, instead of looking for a way to make him fall, to make him fail. So you tell the public that yes, this is what we have been telling you about this man, is not going to make it. Example, President Muhammadu Buhari, because of, I don't want to use the word hatred. I don't know what the right word to use. But the Nigerians at the time, decided to lost faith in the Buhari administration. And they refused to see any good part of him. Despite the laudable achievement. We are not saying that there were no challenges in his administration. There were challenges, but there were some very laudable things that Buhari has done. But people or the masses refuse to see that aspect of it. So I want us to have a reverse of that kind of mindset, so that we give this man the needed support. Let's believe in him. Any area we know he's not doing well as he is going, we come to to the mediums like this and draw his attention to it. But I want Nigerians to give him the needed support so that he can succeed. If he succeeds, it is Nigeria that succeeds. If he fails, it is Nigeria that fails.
Okay, now still on, good governance and corruption, let's come back to you, Mr. Umar Sani. Now, I think when it comes to corruption, it seems to be something that Nigeria has been unable to defeat, even during the PDP administration. And remember when the Buhari administration came in with the anti-corruption fight and all that, and we saw a lot of government officials, being, how do I call it, being punished, for some of their dealings and all that. But even at that, some quarters seem to be of the opinion that, rather than the government, doing whatever it takes to, fight corruption, that some of the corrupt leaders seem to be rewarded rather than punished. What are your thoughts?
Well, you see, there is something that is very interesting, and I like to hear from the Transparency International, and they call it Corruption Perception Index, CPI. Now, they call it perception because what is the view of people around the world over you? Now, what is the view of people around Tinubu in terms of fighting corruption? You have to look at the person first and look at his antecedents and look at the issues of Alpha Beta, the issues of that are from Lagos coming to national. What is the issue of the bullion vans and so forth? These are issues, signifying that there is corruption somewhere, which is hidden, even if it is not proven in court. It's a perception. Now, this perception moves even to international communities and in terms of countries. Now, when President Buhari came, he had a good rating and a very good perception by Nigerians. Nigerians believed he had the capacity, the willingness, and the transparency to be able to run, a very good government. And so he got the needed support. Even if there were flaws in his election, you can say that it represented the will of the Nigerian people on an aggregate, because this was what Nigerians wanted at that time. So there is no question about his legitimacy coming into government. But why is it that at the end, people are also excited for him to leave? It's supposed to be the other way around, that people will be crying that we had a president who had an overwhelming support of Nigerians, who is supposed to be loved, and by the time he's going, people are crying. But people are also excited that he's leaving. The reason is because he has been very weak in the fight against corruption. All the corruption issues that arose, and those people who were jailed, were corruption cases that emanated during the PDP era. Jole Inyame was jailed because of the corruption era that came during the PDP era. This man from the former governor of Plateau State was jailed because of the issue. Up till now, in the Buhari administration, there is nobody that was actually jailed because of corruption from the political cycle. So how would people now have confidence that corruption is being fought tooth and nail? So it means that corruption is rewarded, because at some point, look at even those who were jailed, they were freed at the Council of State. Immediately the Council of State was reconvened, they were all allowed to go. During Goodluck Jonathan, the issue also came up where Alama Sega was pardoned by the Council of State. So these are things that the leadership does not have the will to really fight. And so we need a leadership that has the will, the capacity, and the perception to be able to fight this.
All right, Otiga, last minute question. We're running out of time, of course. So in your opinion, even though you say you can't tell Tinubu what to do, but then in your opinion, what should be the first thing that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should pick? Just say one thing.
The first thing he should do, I think, is to get the right people to man, respective offices. The right people with the agenda, with the interests of Nigerians at heart. He shouldn't go for political compensation or patronage. He shouldn't also do tribal or whatever consideration. He should look at competent people. And we know him for that. We know him for that record. So we want him to bring that record, that experience to bear, bring quality people. Those who are not coming to enrich themselves, who are not coming to fight for their children or grandchildren yet unborn, but those who knows the challenge that Nigeria as a nation is facing at the moment, and who have the intention to tackle these challenges. So that's the first thing I'll advise him to do.
Well, sadly, we actually run out of time. I really wish we had more time to discuss more on this, but hopefully we'll create some time for you, both of you, to actually come in and we'll talk, in extent, and extend the conversation. All right, thank you so much, Comrade Musa Ali Otigba, for joining us, and also Umar Asani. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.